for Cancer for the month of March 2025. So I'm just going to let you know offhand. I mean, for sure, just take it as it resonates. It's going to be general read for whoever this resonates for you and as well, just a quick notice that you're not all making decisions on a Monday versus a Friday and so on. So of course, your energy will be. Sorry, trying to do two things at once here. So your energy is fluid. Energy is fluid, so it may not be your story right at this moment, but it may be something that's a little further out that pertains to you. Um, my feeling is when it comes to the life cycle and the journeys that we're all on, we all tend to go through repeating patterns of cycles until we learn the message. So again, it doesn't have to be your story right at this moment, but whenever you find it. Now, what I would say as far as what I see here, Cancer, is you're still working through some processes, of course. I did pre-pull the cards just for the sake of time. Otherwise, it takes me even more time and it could be a 3-hour read. So what I'm looking at initially here is I'm going to start off with the cards I have for um, all right, we'll start off with these ones here. So I actually did do, this is Paulette Baron Reed Spirit Animal Oracle. I wanted to sort of get a sense of what it is that you were dealing with as far as your main energies that were influencing you for this period. And I don't often use this deck, so please bear with me. Some of them I will refer to the book just because I'm not familiar with it on a regular basis. I know more so the tarot, of course, because that's the one that I generally tend to do. These are decks that I've just haven't been using on a regular basis. So anyway, once I do that frequently enough, of course, it will make a lot more sense. But what I'm looking at here is Be at Home. Now, a couple of things comes to me in terms of that card, and I feel like what it's really saying here, outside of the actual meaning of the card directly, is that you are to get a better sense of self. You know what I mean? Find a better sense of you in this period of March. Whether this is you seeking that or whether you are finding it, either way, I feel like it's really talking to finding something that has some meaning to you, something that makes you feel like you're in a safe space, and you may very well be in that safe space, but it's also kind of that coming together to feel at home in your own skin. You know what I mean? Basically. So, I mean, it is, again, the card itself with the depiction does indicate that you are finding that comfort. And so I would say that's what you're really primarily about this month is trying to find. Sorry guys, I'm going to try to put something on my phone here to block phone calls. Okay, so but anyway, what I see here is overall it's you trying to find some sense of comfort, some sense of coming together with. Actually, maybe I will leave that on. Sorry guys. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm seeing there again is you trying to find a sense of self. Getting a really good understanding of yourself and finding, getting in touch with your own identity, feeling okay in your own skin is basically what I would say here for the month of March. And, I feel a lot of this, of course, does trail out into preceding months, because this is not when you're overhauling a lot of yourself and getting in touch with who you are and trying to heal. Those are things that don't just finish up in a month or so. Oftentimes that is like a lifelong process, but we revisit it and then we get through things as as we're triggered or whatever. But the point is you're trying to find a sense of freedom within yourself at this point. So sorry guys. I'm gonna drink the coffee. Anyway, the point is that I just feel like you're trying to find a little bit more harmony and feeling more comfortable in your own skin, taking off the mask. Who's your true self? What is it that you're trying to protect yourself from? What kind of hurts? Is it that you're actually dealing with that rob you of that sense of self? It's those kinds of questions and things that are coming up here. So you're looking for the most authentic version of you. Sorry, I'm just going to drink the coffee here, guys. But overall, like I said, I just feel like it's kind of a course correction, basically. So you're in that space of trying to figure out where it feels safe to be you. Now, the next card out here is the Pig Spirit. And this one is all about, use your mind wisely. So don't allow yourself to go into places that don't, put you in a space where you can where you're going to denigrate yourself. This is obviously a space where you're trying to remind yourself, use your intelligence, use your sense of connection with your intuition, you know, um, find the gifts that you have, through the things that you take interest in. But it's also about, finding a more compassion for yourself, finding a love for yourself, because as you find love for yourself and compassion for yourself, treat yourself with respect and integrity, then of course other people see that you have some boundaries, and that would be something that they also have to be considerate to. Those that don't see your boundaries could be a narcissist, but otherwise, if they don't see your boundaries, then you have to see, how far you want to let someone in here. So, but the point is you're in a space of trying to make more intelligent decisions around the things that are important to you. So again, this is you using your analytical mind. This is you considering from a deeper place, a wiser place. And able to do that, of course, you're having to be also more open-minded. But it's in that space as well where you internally are kind of mulling over, what you do understand, and trying to be more clear-minded so that you can shape that into a wisdom. So again, you're accumulating knowledge in this period is what I would say here. And able to do that, of course, this is where you're making discernment around what are the facts, what is it that I'm adding a feeling to that might be skewing what I'm actually dealing with, because where everybody is on their own journey, everybody has their own level of pain or difficulty to overcome. And so because of that, you may not be the center focus of the problem. You're just using that person, or they're just you as a tool, to get to the other side of their journey, to figure something out about why they're triggered or what's important to them. Either way, I just feel like the message here is that you're kind of turning inward. You're really, trying to find a sense of alignment here and make decisions from a very, possibly kind of taking it a little bit too far, a little bit here with the, analysis paralysis sort of mindset. But again, there's something here about, taking some time to allow the mind to rest before, as you go through and figure out your own mystery, who you are, why you're here. Because really, that's what I believe we are here for, is to unravel the mystery of us. I mean, the universe and the things that are around us are, as they often say, they're things that we create to be able to work through the situation or whatever future we're trying to create for ourselves. But again, a lot of this comes from releasing our grip on what we think is right and what we need to know. And then also, falling back to see what's available to you, because when you're really in a place of lockdown, you don't actually give your mind a rest enough to figure out you. You know what I mean? So again, it's not plowing through, it's giving yourself the chance to get to know you again, is what I would say there. Sorry guys, 2 more seconds, just doing a thing. Okay, so now I'm going to pull forward the other card, because I did have a couple of other decks here, but I think this one, okay, so this one is about passion. So the card of passion, just that. What are you passionate about? What are the things that kind of bring you to a deeper space? There's something here that needs to come out of you. There's something here that wants to be expressed. There's a part of you that feels a little bit in lack. And again, I feel like that card overall is, these are the main energies that are coming in here to to sort of make a difference. So like I said, I would say in the month of March, these are the things that are coming up for you. These are the things that have become more of an issue, an issue of concern, or something that you're prioritizing. But either way, like I said, I mean, these are really, really positive cards overall. And even though you're in a deep space and you're still very internal, I still feel like the energy around you is very positive. So again, that's not of that same deck, by the way. Give me 1 second here. That one is the, to see, oh yeah. Okay, so that deck, I believe, is the spell casting oracle cards by Flavia Kate Peters, Barbara Meikle-John Free. I really like the cards themselves. I think they're they're just very colorful and illuminating. But either way, getting right back into it here. So, like I said, I mean, the card of passion does speak to the things that kind of bring you to a place of, out of the darkness. So there's something about your outlook that has been distracted or forgotten or dimmed, and this is where you're trying to reunite or reignite, something that's going to fuel that passion and spice up your life again in some way. So again, it's about looking at what your life purpose is. I feel like you're trying to follow your heart here. You've got very strong emotions in this month. But there's also things around friendship and all of that that are coming up here as well. So, and I did ask some cards in around friendship as well as, significant relationships to you, but we'll go through those ones here in a little bit. But like I said, either way, I just feel like you're in a space of really trying to figure out you more so, but you are looking at some of these other factors that are kind of external, but again, still a part of the big picture. So again, this is, someone that may also be trying to reach out to you in this month, and it's kind of a card of let go and trust. This could be again somebody who you consider a good friend that's trying to reach out to you, somebody that that you might have been shut off from, is trying to open up a little bit more. And I feel like this is also a message to you as well. So it's time to reach out and embrace those authentic relationships to you, and of course, it's not to say that whatever relationships that when you reconnect, everything is healed again. Of course, there's always that little trigger point. It's what are the things that are most important about those relationships that you can hang on to and accept about a situation that the person may have been going through their own issue, which, has caused something else in question for you that had nothing to do with you, had more to do with an external situation. We're also in that period of transformation. So it does feel like it's in around um, a friendship or those that are really close to you. Like I said, whatever the falling out was or whatever, again, for whoever this resonates for, it does seem like there is more of a long-standing connection that, is still in transformation. It looks like there was kind of a sense of isolation, excuse me, taking place here, and this is now in that space of transforming that energy so that you can keep your focus more positive. But either way, it does feel like somebody's kind of reaching out here, and that it will be more of a positive exchange. I still feel, because you're in that deep space contemplating, that boundaries are here, and it's good to have those boundaries until you really get a sense of where somebody else is at in their healing process as much as you are in yours. But again, it's like we tend to hang on to burden because we either haven't figured out a way to process it. But again, this is still that card of saying, when you're ready to approach that boundary, or when you're ready to approach that issue, then that's when you can have that conversation with that person. But at this point, there is some boundaries up here, and it may be some rigidity around a certain point of view here. But either way, I just feel like the message to you is to handle the situation with respect, and certainly with some kind of level of understanding, a certain level of acceptance. Even if somebody else is not accepting of you, you don't want to make it worse. If this is somebody you valued at some point, it's more a matter of uh, not trying to build resentment and trying to get somebody to see your point of view, but it's more about where can you negotiate something that is to your advantage, where you can connect in, not in all forms necessarily. We don't want to release everything about ourselves to a situation or a connection, but it's good to have a little bit of mystery. But there's something here about making a connection, or moving in the direction of a gesture where it is more of a genuine happy connection. So in other words, there's something there still with the boundaries, but again, you're trying to be more authentic, and opening up a little bit there with that connection. There is something here still around protection. So again, you're still in that retreat mode. There is definitely, possibly some kind of danger or stress or something that's, harsh energy or whatever that might still be lingering around that situation. But there's boundaries, and it's being very carefully as you nudge or graduate into that situation. So there's something here that can allow you some freedom, but nothing. Uh, as we get older, there is more of a complexity to our relationships, and it's much more difficult to just lay everything out there and try to be fully understood by somebody. But it's nice to be seen by others in the world. So again, it's walking into situations knowing that there's some boundaries, and that there's still some triggers that may be surrounding your connection. Okay, so now this one is the Goddess Guidance Oracle, and this is the energy around that one. Okay, so there is no need to hurry or force things to happen. Everything's occurring in perfect timing. So it's, don't push things, obviously, is the message. Everything has its own pace here. So there's something here in terms of a relationship or something of a long term commitment that can't be rushed. There's a level of devotion that's still underlying there, but there's also some kind of instability that also remains there. So even though you may, and again, this could be relating to friendship or romantic in this particular area here, you may still care very deeply about somebody and they can care very deeply about you, but not all the matters have been resolved or healed. So there's a lot of, trying to understand what to prioritize in the connection and what to make time for, and also by still working on ourselves, but do what's important to you is basically the message here. You're not in competition with anybody. It's more about no need to hurry. Just feel that, don't force things to happen in this connection. It's slow, steady progress, basically. Progress, not perfection, as they say. So do your work while they do their work, and then you find a way to sort of negotiate how to build on that connection. Then we also have the card of Medicine Woman. So there's something here with that kind of speaks to, again, more energy around healing. The fact that we are still dealing with you are a channel for divine healing tells me that there's a lot of intuition that's coming in here. But not only that, I actually feel like you are on a spiritual, you do a lot of internal work. So there's something here that kind of speaks to a message that is helping you come from a childlike place, but it, based on your own sense of grounding, will either be masked as a fear and tantrums and anger and those kinds of things, or when you become more grounded, it becomes more of a steady knowledge that as you command it to come up, it will be available to you. So it's how do you want to conduct that power? You do things from a place of authenticity, grace, wisdom, grounding, and that's how you can connect to get more clarity in a situation. Or do you want to be on the surface level of situations and just keep reacting with triggers of emotion based on what somebody might see of you or interpret? So again, when you connect to a bigger source, there's a natural power and an infinite wisdom where you start to understand where somebody else is coming from. And then once you know somebody hasn't done a lot of the healing, then you know when to pull back and create some boundaries or distance to allow them to go through what it is that they need to heal from. It doesn't mean that the relationship cannot ever be healed, but it may not be healed in the time frame that you would like to, fall into. But either way, honor that healing. But there is something here about you learning about healing as well, and something about you being a healer. So again, there's something there that's very important that I feel is a part of who you are. You are a spiritual healer and you have a gift. You have a gift that can be heard in the world. And again, when it's really close to us, it's hard to heal things that are very close to us. Um, but again, there's a certain level of timing that goes with that. So just be mindful of that, because sometimes we just want to charge through, fix things, and get right back on track. But that's not how people heal. We don't know what other external factors they have going on around them that might be triggers for them outside of this immediate connection or situation they're dealing with. So now we're on to the White Terra sensitivity. So you become increasingly sensitive, avoid harsh relationships, environments, situations, and chemicals. So if there's something that you're, using as in a toxic way, you need to sort of purify the body. You need to sort of purify your inner world. And again, that can be toxic elements that you're taking in, drinking, drugs, anything like that. But it's also in around, relationships, as it does speak to. So anything around your environment, you want to be getting rid of the things that are not on the path of ascension. So you want to raise up your vibration. You want to be able to measure, your own level of. You want to purify yourself so that you can, that what you are putting out into the world is not tainted by the healing aspect. So when you heal, sometimes we can get a jaded idea of how something should go, and we all do it. It's part of the human process, but it's taking the steps to protect yourself from the negativity. And again, steer clear of anything that is a trigger for you at this time. Just deal with the elements that are really important to you right at this time to heal. So again, it's how do you empower yourself is really what I'm seeing and hearing here with all of these cards. Okay, so now we're getting into the, this is a different deck. Haven't used it for a while, but I like it. Okay, so this one is the Mystical Healing cards, and this is by Ina Segal. So again, I don't use this one often, so I am going to refer to the book on this. All right, but basically the card is, this is talking about listen to your guardian angel. So again, it's following your intuition, really paying attention to things that intuitively are coming in for you because it's wise information right now. So it's a reminder that you're never alone, and the best path forward is where what you're being guided into a new direction here, basically. So this is where you're starting to trust your own gift, trust your healing, be open to those spiritual experiences. And I just feel like you're trying to find a more meaningful you and a more meaningful world and a more meaningful life. So this is taking action on a spiritual level. So it's not something that I feel like you're really inward, like I said, because there's just so many cards that kind of speak to that. It feels like you are in that space as well, not getting the respect that you feel you deserve. So, sometimes this is about kind of even following along on some of the things on YouTube and whatever, how do you gain respect? How do you present as someone that deserves respect? Of course, boundaries are a big part of that. Self respect requires you to kind of listen to your body, listen to your inner voice. It's kind of listening to, your own behavior, your own language, all of those things so that you have a better idea of what it is that you're presenting in the world, and then kind of reflecting it back to yourself. Would I see this same person as somebody who is integral and makes decisions based on, values and strong beliefs, or is this somebody that feels that they're not good enough and that they're, not lovable and not smart enough and not wanted? So it's coming, looking at all the things about, how do you self-sabotage yourself, right? Because you want to be able to turn those levels of confusion, those levels of feeling lack and, not feeling a strong identity into what's healthy for you. So who is it that you want to be on the other side of that, and how is it that you're going to bring that about? What are the thoughts that somebody who is integral, has strong beliefs and values, and has an understanding, um, you know what is it that they feel from the inner self? What is the message that they're trying to get out there? And it's not that you have to throw your voice into someone else and say this is right and you're wrong. What it does mean, though, is you stand by your convictions and the things that you believe to be important, and your actions are the things that forward that motion. And again, it's not second guessing yourself. When you believe it's something that's important to you, it doesn't matter what you when somebody challenges you, it's not about saying you're wrong and my voice is right. What it is saying, though, is here's another perspective, for the world to take a look at. Accept it, don't accept it, but it is something that I strongly believe in. It's kind of carrying your voice forward in a way that has significant meaning to you. And again, you're having to be your most authentic self. Now, I did say that there was some strong emotions that are coming in this month that you're definitely working through. And again, this is all about transforming anger. So there's something here that kind of speaks to, again, that same sort of message of, how do you move into a space of, how do you move into that space of figuring out why you're angered? What is your triggers? Is it true? Breaking down your own arguments, basically, because you're blocking your chakras, you're blocking off parts of yourself when you are in anger or when you're in a space of blaming other people, because then whatever that limitation is that you place upon someone else, it becomes your limitation. So again, it's going out there and energizing yourself instead of finding ways to drain yourself and rage about why something isn't working, why something didn't change, you know and again, it's even when they talk about failure and problems and difficulties, all of those things are things that come up in life. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It's all about how creative are you about taking this, using the steps to change that. You're never, when something is taken away or there's been a failure or something changes, it doesn't mean that that is your failure. What that means is there was another piece to that puzzle that you didn't consider and that you need to have more responsibility for so that doesn't occur again. So it's more information, not less. Maybe you put your too much information or too much trust in one person when it really should have been trust in yourself. Either way, it's not anger that serves you. because it's filled with ego and pride and that kind of thing. And it's not about blame, or it's really transforming anger is about how to make it constructive. How do you make yourself better in the face of difficulty, or in the face of something that will work for you. And I always use the little analogy of the driving situation. If you didn't know how to drive, you start to learn the book, but you don't know the physical practice on how to drive. But how do you do that? You get into the car, then you start to learn all the parts of the car. You might look for, ways around how to drive in the winter, how to drive in the summer, what are the best tires. You start to overanalyze, or not overanalyze, but you start to analyze the whole situation piece by piece to make an informed decision. And that's how you get past a block. So it's the same thing when you're trying to overthink something. It's not about what you how do I say, if you're connecting your self-worth to the thing that went wrong, that isn't fixing the situation. You can look at the situation and say, how could I have made a better decision in light of you know what went down. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's just kind of a general whatever tidbit of information there. But now we're getting into almost to the tarot, guys. So this one actually, this is the spell cards, magical spell card, and this is by Lucy Cavendish. So this one is all about courage. This is what you needed to know for this period. That is what I pulled the cards for. The question that I asked: by shining brave, true, and bright, my courage now returns this night. So again, the idea behind it really is discovering, your internal reserves, your internal courage. How do you face your fears? If you have fear of love, what could you go out and learn, on the internet, or taking a course, or how could you learn how to be the best version of yourself in a loving situation? And regardless of how that turns out, you're going to learn um, what it is that somebody else might want. What are some of the things that relationships are built on? And that's not it. Of course, trust is a big part of that, but it's also, do you have a partner that's willing to grow with you? If you don't, then you need to, kind of look at some of the other factors. Do you want somebody that has the same values and belief system? Generally, that would be a good mix. Like, you start to analyze what it is. You don't just go out there and say, oh, they make me feel good and I feel seen. You need to really break it down and figure out what it is that helps you to take the first steps, that will prompt you in the direction to take action. So again, this is something, that's where courage is, where there's a little level of excitement, but you're breaking down a barrier nonetheless. Then we also have the card of strength. And again, it's having the perseverance to sort of push through and carry it through. So it's one thing to approach a situation or approach someone, but it's quite another to sort of allow yourself to endure in their presence what it is, that how can you be loving? How can you be kind? How can you be understanding? How can you be gentle? But also being self-respecting, and having those boundaries and not coming off, too strong or aggressive or harsh, but also being someone who is flexible enough to learn and not be unkind or cruel. What is the person that you want to be? How do you want to be seen? Those are the things, again, that are most important here, because being strong is about being your most authentic self. So the next card out is joy. And again, there's something here that's coming in that is reaching into that level of, you're tapping into something, again, more spiritually, I feel, at this level, but you're tapping into something that also speaks to being recognized, in some way. And there's a level of happiness or a level of joy or something that's coming in here that just makes you feel like you're just a lot more, uh, something is looking a little more beautiful in the world. You know what I mean? It just feels like something in the world has become more important for you in this period, in the month of March. And again, I feel like that's why you've got the renewed energy coming in here as well, because there's something here, again, from your inner core that, and again, still that level of energy of anger that still I can't get away from, but again, there's more vitality here. And it just feels like whatever low period you were going through, you're now healing at a deeper level. And again, don't make an enemy of the feelings that exhausted you, because sometimes those low periods are the things that help you to bring you to the fullest potential. So it's, how do you understand your own ebb and flow? If you're really in a low period, how do you bring yourself to a higher energy flow? It's the soul's journey. It's how do you reconnect to the best energy for you. Last card out is Harmony. So obviously you are getting in touch with something in this period. The card of Harmony speaks to the same thing. We're going to get into the tarot here, guys, as well in the next few minutes, but it's actually the next cards out after this. So Harmony, again, there's a state of balance that I feel is you creating more connections. You know, you've got a lot more strength that comes up here. You're feeling more understood. You're also, you know, getting someone that's reaching out for you, and there's more of an understanding of others. And again, that in turn is creating more harmony, because then there will be the transformations that follow all of that. Okay, so again, it's time to receive as well. When you start feeling like the pressure is a little bit lighter, things are going to lighten up here with the State of Harmony card. So again, there's going to be something that is a clearing of your energy in this period. Okay, so now we're getting into the tarot. All right, so the first card's out, and I didn't see anything that was major or minor. So again, it feels like you're just kind of working through some of the minor stuff at this time. But we've got the Seven of Wands. We also have the Seven of Pentacles. And below that, we have the Three of Swords. So there is a level of conflict that you're dealing with, sure, in this period. But again, it's not major. It's just something that, you know, you feel a little bit defensive. You might be feeling like there's an external challenge here that is dealing with some heartbreak. There is something that you are feeling like you need to be, um, you know, very resilient around. It does sort of give off the sense that this is something that you also require some patience with, because the Seven of Pentacles talks about, you know, you feel like you're in constant battle, you know, or competition or conflict. There's some kind of an obstacle that you have to be a little bit more persevering with and able to get past it. So again, there's something here about you taking some time to evaluate where it is that you want to invest your time. How do you shift your focus? And, you know, what, you know, meditation and all of those things can be a part of it. But there's something here about you kind of sitting back and waiting for something to take place, like the next step to present itself. Now, again, I still feel like you have been let down. There is some kind of emotional wound that you're dealing with, grappling with, whatever. But I feel like overall, you are not feeling the, you know, that you're feeling some weight of that past mistake or disappointment, but your focus is really on persevering. There's more of a sustained energy here. You know that you are going to fight for what you want, what's important to you. You're not afraid to struggle, you know, because it's motivating you to get past or through the emotional pain, or that whatever that disappointment was with the Three of Swords. So again, there's an emotional healing very strongly as the overriding message for this month, but there is emotional recovery with these cards. You've got a lot of resilience. You're strong in, especially in the emotional area of your life. And again, you're still reflecting on the progress, or you're reflecting on, you know, what's the next step that you can take. And of course, that will take removing or releasing some of the baggage so that you get more clarity and more focus. But either way, you're kind of reassessing where you're at. So this is, again, cards of reflecting over the difficulty with the Three Swords. But either way, I just feel like the overall message is that you have the courage to keep fighting for the things that are important to you and what's, you know, what's worth standing for. Again, stepping back is where I still see that you're at, because again, further out with some of the other cards here, we also have the Hermit. So there is a stepping back. You're still looking at the bigger picture. You're looking at things to be more, um, you're just being very careful about your next decision. So again, it's more of a planning toward a bigger strategy of things, is what I would say there. Again, a lot of introspection going on here, because you're really trying to find your balance between, you know, holding your own ground and how to manifest this, you know, long-term success kind of scenario. But again, the healing starts with recognition of where the emotional pain or the heartache is coming from, and addressing that pain. You know, how do you know what your trigger is? So in other words, if somebody said a word, you know, said you're incompetent or whatever, then, you know, is that your trigger? Or do you look at the other person and say, does this person have a need to be better than me? Or does this person have a need? Are they just naturally competitive? Like, you start to break it down in other ways, and then you realize it's not really about you. It's just about their feelings. They chose you because they already know you have a trigger for that. because they can sense it off of you. But either way, the point is, you're giving yourself that permission to grieve and process those emotions and express the sorrow or the frustration and get past it. So, you could be seeking some kind of support, but I didn't really see a lot of in regards to that. Um, so, but either way, we'll just get right into the next ones here. But again, this is more practice self compassion. It's more about, again, step back from the situation. Don't rush in. The healing takes time and will eventually bear some kind of fruit. But again, it's nurture the garden that brings you to a place where you can build and feel better versus, a garden that uh, has so many weeds that you don't know where to begin. You just take one step at a time, pulling out the weeds and making sure that the garden has the right words, used in that garden. What is the right foods that you're taking in? What are the right people or the right energy around you to sort of create a longer term fix? Okay, so anyway, regardless, again, the sevens still speak to protecting your emotional space. You're in that place of defending your emotional well being. So you might have some boundaries up, really not feeling super connected to people, kind of keeping to yourself, but you have a lot of energy of resilience, and due to those external challenges or setbacks, I feel like you're in that space of not being discouraged. You're focused on your healing journey, is what I would say there. And again, patience, persistence, trust the process, consistency over perfection. Healing isn't about being perfect or being done. It takes a certain amount of time, and it will show up in different ways over the course of your life, and you'll have different things that you need to heal from. So healing is, continual, but take the time to, emotional reflection basically. And again, sometimes the healing is slow in certain areas because the wounds may be a little deeper, around our own well being or around our self worth. But, how do you create more strength? And again, more strength and resilience is tied to the things that we value and that we believe. So if somebody says to you, well, you're not smart enough or whatever, you can also, say to yourself, well, is that how I feel about myself? Well, I feel like I'm a very intelligent person. I'm inquisitive. I can do the research. If I want to learn something about that area, I will. Like, you know what I mean? You build it up around. So instead of devaluing yourself based on somebody else's judgment, because you might have a judgment of them that's just as critical. So it doesn't mean it's accurate. No, it's just a personal opinion. So the point is keep moving forward. Do you. Okay, so now we're on to, actually, maybe I'll do this one here first. Okay, so 10 of Wands, of course, there is something here about you getting close to a level of completion. So there's something here with the tens, meaning that chapter is ending. When we get to that space, I would say physically, I feel like you're going to start to feel stronger just after March here, because there's more of a wholeness, more of an accomplishment that will follow a 10 of Wands. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to take the coffee, but you are wrapping up a difficult period. Okay, so either way, I just feel like you're going to get to a point where you can celebrate that achievement and then you can look forward, following this. And especially too when it's followed up with the World card, there's your successful integration of the lessons that you've learned. The World card is the card that really speaks to, everything culminating together. You have a better understanding of yourself. And again, there's something here that kind of speaks to even doing something that's on more of a broad level. So you might be dealing with something that's around the internet or something like that as well. But the World definitely is a final player. This is more the clarifying energy, but it definitely speaks to you being in a really strong place emotionally, and you've, completed the cycle. So again, there's fulfillment, there's completion, there's ending, there's reward, and there's just some battle that you've, endured. You've actually, you can approach this with a lot more confidence now because you've learned something. And this is the self-actualization card as well. So, and then of course, following that, you have the healing card of the Star. This is more hope. This is more inspiration. You're feeling better about yourself, going to start to feel more connected here just after March. You may be feeling some of that in March. You all are on a different timeline. You don't, like I said, you don't all make decisions on a Monday or a Wednesday. So some of you are going to be in this energy, and there's going to be more faith about things improving, telling you that after these hardships you can actually look forward to a brighter, future. And again, not only that, what's following is the Four of Swords. This is where it's more you getting a period of rest and recovery. This is where you're starting to feel like you can take the break from the pressures that you've been facing, and you can kind of recharge. And it's a reminder to slow down and prioritize self-care, after all the strain that you've been under. And following that, the ultimate. Further out cards, but nonetheless, it's still there. You know that you're in the right direction. Ten of Pentacles is long-term stability, financial security. This is legacy. Whatever it is that you are doing or somehow connected to, you are building a solid foundation for the future, for future generations, even for your own kids. But there's something here about focus on family and legacy, and a very positive omen around material well-being. So all of the things that you've gone through are actually going to result in a very positive outcome. So the outcome of the incoming situation, and that's what this is. This is the incoming situation. That was the question that I asked for these cards, is that you've been carrying a heavy load. You're entering a phase of closure and achievement with that World card. And then there'll be this accomplishment, and then there's a release. And that moment to celebrate is coming in here about the growth and what you've overcome. So again, you've got healing, you've got rejuvenation, you're reconnecting with a sense of purpose. There's family, there's stability, there's legacy. There is a lot here that speaks to financial security as well, material success. So there's something that you will be touched by in terms of, family and finance and stability and abundance. And again, it's long term. So, however that connects to you, there's the best advice is let go of the burdens. If you're still carrying the weight of the responsibilities, delegate them, lighten your load, ask for help. Whatever that challenging cycle is, you don't have to do everything alone. It's crucial to recognize that you have to release the pressures that you're holding on to and just allow yourself to heal physically and emotionally. You are taking that time and you are trusting in the process, and there is, you preparing for more of a secure long-term future here. But just note that whatever your efforts are that you're doing now, that is why things will pay off, because you're doing the work right now. Now, the other part of this is, I asked about how I was seeing you at this time. Not that that really matters so much, but it might be something that food for thought. People feel that you're kind of in that space of maybe doing things that are a little bit impulsive and not really healthy for you. They might be feeling that you are, kind of you're bound to something a little more toxic. You're not really in a healthy mindset, or that you can't control the things that, and so you're drawn to the things of temptation, that you can't control yourself in some way. So again, there's something here about intensity, or again, overindulgence, that kind of thing, and not having a lot of self-control. The Seven of Cups again kind of speaks to the same thing. They're seeing you as, being a little uncertain in your choices, feeling a bit maybe scattered, that kind of thing, or that they're just viewing you as someone who's looking to escape from life. And so there's a lot of wishful thinking. However, nobody understands what's going on around you or inside you. So just be mindful of that. So really think doesn't matter as much as what you think, because you know what you can, what you're seeking peace from, what it is that was turbulent within you, and you're trying to figure out your own personal growth. It's not up for other judgment. But again, the complexity of relationships and how people see us sometimes can, influence how they treat us as well. So it's almost like they see you as escaping in some kind of retreat here. But again, it's like you're just in a space of retreating from the problems, not taking everything head on, feeling conflicted in some way. And again, there might be something here about you being caught between what it is you're desiring or temptations, and sort of juggling out, what do I need to prioritize and be responsible for? So either way, you're in some kind of transitional period here. So it's a transitional phase where you're seeking peace and clarity. But again, there may be still some, places where you're kind of avoiding, where you're more detached, but you avoid sort of some of the deeper issues. But again, I feel like you are still moving forward. I feel like it's the unhealthy habits and some of the indecision that you'll have to work through, but you are, this is again further out with the death card, but this is still speaking to you reinventing yourself and evolving in some way. So you're closing that chapter to embrace something of change, and you're going to be shifting, your old patterns of thinking into something that's far more positive. And again, it's what you digest, what you listen to on the internet, all of those things. And we also have the victory card. So this is something that you start to, you're overcoming a little bit further out. Some of you, it might be in March toward the end, but either way, I just feel like there is a lot more confidence coming in. You're feeling much more leadership energy, much more on top of your game. And I just feel like you will be more of an inspiration to others. And I say that because it is also followed up by the Lovers card. It doesn't have to be love, as in, love connection that way. It can be just friendship and whatever. But either way, that card represents balance and harmony and you being in line with your destiny or where you're headed here. So it just feels like, in terms of your friends, even though they feel that you have some things to kind of navigate through, just take great care, because the intensities that you're trying to balance out in your life at this time, you will balance, because you're making you the priority. You're making your decisions align with your values. It's that kind of thing. Who are your meaningful partnerships? Who are you going to deeply invest in, that you want to build connections with, that are in alignment with your current goals or standards or values? But again, it's also, most importantly, do that work for yourself, because it's, somebody else seeing you isn't going to be as important as investing in you, investing in your time, investing in your energy, your health, investing in your wisdom, investing in your, your material understanding of the world, getting an understanding of who you actually want to be in the world. Do you want to be someone who is in peace, somebody who's on a spiritual journey? Do you want to be with, in a romantic relationship that has a meaningful connection to you? How do you make that happen? How do you learn to negotiate better, and able for your connections to be prioritized? Like, it's how do you get to know yourself and yourself around others? Lots of information there. But either way, Ace of Pentacles is where we start or we end off. And again, that is the ultimate card, of course, of some new beginning, new opportunity. Something definitely in the tangible, concrete, material success for sure. Practical, for some, this is going to represent as a new job or a financial opportunity, but it's some kind of money that's also coming in. May not be exactly in the month of March, but it will be soon thereafter, because that's where it's all connected to. And it would be connected to a connection as well. Something about that, because either way, you've gone through a multitude of really huge transitions. So again, you've got you've gone through the transformation and the growth with the Death card, the Ace of Pentacles. But again, it's a major transition, and it's opening up something new, and it's a positive chapter that's up ahead here for you. So again, I just feel like, even in terms of your connections, they will end up seeing you as someone that they can admire and respect. And it's also, you have been able to overcome the challenges, rise above something because of that Six of Wands. So again, you've found a love for yourself, or a deeper connection within yourself, that's going to allow you to make important choices around your emotional connections. And I do feel like, even though you might be perceived as someone who's guided by your heart and your emotions with other people, I still feel like that journey is rising you to new height, where you can actually, um, where you can actually take advantage of your personal relationships in the material. Somehow they connect together. So there's something here about overcoming that challenge, and you're now seeing a more, successful, fulfilled version of yourself overall. And again, this is going through in terms of not just love and friendships, but also career with more confidence. Now the card here, the next card's out. That was the Hermit card. Okay, so that one here, this was, the general energy, I feel, that's the current emotional energy around you. Like, what's your environment basically in the month of March? So to break it down, the Hermit is basically you reflecting deeply, trying to reconnect with yourself. You're on a journey of self-discovery. So overall, that's where I feel that you're at. We also have the card of the Ten of Swords. So again, there's a lot of emotional pain that you're processing. There's a lot of exhaustion, end of a painful cycle. You might have felt like you hit some kind of rock bottom. There's grief, there's loss, there's, you feeling a little bit mentally trapped by your circumstances. But it's also kind of representing that there could be some emotional reluctance to let go of an area of, something that has an end or finality. So again, the Five of Cups, this is all the stuff this is your current environment, what you're working through. You're working through the grief and the disappointment, the loss, the regret, what went wrong for you, and what you considered a personal failure. What is it that you lost? These are all the things that didn't meet your expectations. That's where you're at in this month. You're maybe a little focusing too much on the negative, and you might be struggling with shifting your perspective to see the good things in life and that there is emotional recovery. But it is also again, further out, you did find some release because you were feeling that you had more confidence moving forward. But again, sometimes we forget to focus on the things that we still have and what's not lost. So again, is there somebody else that's worse off than you? Generally, yes. Are you somebody that is having to deal with, looking for a home? Yes or no? Are you someone that has any kind of friendships or connections? Yes or no? Starting to really take stock of the things that help you to remain focused and on the practical and the steady steps. Are you young enough that you can still move forward and have your whole life ahead of you? Yes. Are you, too old to learn? No, because learning is, even they found, even in the brain, neuroplasticity is constantly it's a thing, where your brain is constantly evolving and creating new brain cells. So the whole point is to use everything that you have to your advantage. Could things be worse? For sure. It was like looking at the fellow who played Superman, when he found himself in a wheelchair. Could there have been no future if he saw it that way? But instead, he actually became an advocate. He started doing things. He did a lot more. He was more of a representative, and even people that are in the is it Invictus games, that kind of thing. I'm not saying sure if I'm saying that right, but you can see your life with the limitations because of something that you've lost, or you can see it for the new direction that it's going. So it's remember to, find the balance and be fair with yourself, not just with others. But the idea of give and take, and not to overextend yourself for others at the expense of yourself, that kind of thing. It's okay to be generous, but it's also just a reminder you also have a sense of duty to yourself, and to be focused on you and invest in you because that is going to be your best investment. Other investments in other people, you don't know if you know, paid for an entire course for them, whether or not they'll actually fit it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so best to invest in you and put your own time and energy, effort into something so that you actually have a stronger sense of self. Anyway, going on to the next card here. But again, overall, this is just the general energy of what's surrounding you that you're dealing with right now. Again, past processing of pain and trying to slow it down and going internal to heal and find the balance. A lot of sadness, a lot of disappointment, trying to really connect with yourself. So it's a long term recovery, basically, is what I would say there. And again, it's only just that, but especially with the Knight of Pentacles, I mean, that tells me in itself that it's a slow journey. It's going to be something that still puts you in a space where you're following the practical measures. You're doing the things that will put you in a grounded space. So whatever you internally reflect on, you're still bringing to the material world in some way, so that actively is something that you touch and have some kind of value for. It's like putting things into a meaningful connection. It's putting things into a meaningful place. So it's a very stable energy there. And again, even with the Six of Pentacles, again, you're just finding the balance of give and take and meeting your own emotional needs, as well as trying to be a lot more uh, there's a lot more reciprocity, a lot more instant giving. Now we're into sorry, almost our final cards out here. Okay, so the Three of Wands, whatever it is that you're doing right now is expanding. So you're making this. It does mean that there's going to be some things here that sort of that you can look forward to in the future, because this is a card of expanding, but there's also exploration and a bit of a wait because you're still trying to find the right opportunities, you're still planning, you're still anticipating growth in certain areas. It's a lot more of an optimistic card though, but it's a big picture kind of thinking or view of a situation. So again, this I feel is, even though there's a sense of an adventurous spirit, I still feel like the you are still being very practical in the way that you move ahead. A lot of the things that you're focusing on seem to be very, with the Knight of Cups on here, in here as well, like you're driven by the heart space. So again, that's someone who has a romantic, idealistic sense of the world, you know, where they're really deeply sensitive and maybe easily emotionally triggered, but also at the same, on the positive end of things, emotionally expressive. They could be somebody who's quite charming and, you know, really um, looks for meaningful connections that where they can express their love and affection in their own way. So again, this I feel represents you, but following your heart and trying to get your emotional needs met. But again, number one, you can make those beautiful experiences within yourself first, then you will be able to also reflect that to somebody else, that that is what you expect. If you do it for yourself, then they know that you're not waiting on them to fix you. So it's you fix you first. And so there's also that energy of dreaming big and chasing things that, again, have, you know, that you're emotionally invested in. And again, there's lots of that energy of exciting possibilities and positive things coming in. And of course, we're also in the Nine of Cups energy. So, I mean, we not only did we have like further out here as well, Nine of Cups with the Four of Wands, and that final card is the Ace of Cups. I mean, these are all cards of you getting some kind of wish fulfillment. So basically, this is creating a harmonious environment where people value you, and there's some kind of celebration that's coming in here in the month of March as well. So I feel like your focus is on building strong, supportive relationships, and you're creating joy through social gatherings or some personal achievements, things that are important to you. You're doing it in such a way that it's creating more stability, more social and grounding connections. And again, this is still a little further out because the energy is you're just expanding it right now with the Three of Wands. But there's a sense of foundation and togetherness all around, and it's a very reliable energy, and it's very strong emotional renewal experience. So I feel like you're just overflowing with these positive emotions. Everything is going to start to open up. Again, this is not the immediate energy. You're still expanding it. You're still, you know, kind of building that up. But I feel like you're moving into wish fulfillment probably by about April, May for some. But either way, it's just making you a lot more well rounded. And again, it's an ongoing emotional journey. But overall, I just feel like you're really getting a whole bunch of small victories and creating really strong, solid foundation by doing that. You're building yourself a strong foundation. And again, there's a certain sense of adventure that kind of goes with that. So, again, that was your cards there. And the last one's out here. Okay, now this is in around like a connection romantically. So for those of you that this does not resonate for, you can just move along past that one. I only have one more oracle card that I'll pull out here at the end. For this part, this is more along the romantic aspect of things. So for those of you that have some kind of romantic connection, I feel like there is an internal conflict. There could be jealousy. There could be competitive sort of nature around this experience or around this person. So there's a fight for you to kind of position yourself. You're trying to position yourself in a way that you are more assertive, you know, but it's not working in your favor here. Now, I would say that because it's followed up with the card of the Magician, that energy tells me that there is some kind of, you know, I feel like you're trying to manifest someone or something out of this. You want something to happen. You're trying to figure out a strategy or transform it in some way. But either way, I do feel like there's a lot of power behind it. Now, the problem is that there is a lot of worry and anxiety. So it's hard to manifest when you're actually feeling mental overload or anxiety or stress in some way. So you're overthinking it, basically. And I feel like that spiral of overthinking is creating more negative thoughts, and it makes it hard for you to relax or open up. However, overall, you do have a lot of guidance and protection. You're spiritually motivated, and you're trying to remain calm and seek balance in your life at this time and find that emotional maturity, that middle way. And for sure, I feel like you want a second chance with somebody because the 2.0 card is it's a second time around. So I feel like you're trying to open up to a newer, new chance at an opportunity with somebody. You would like that, and I feel like you're trying to manifest it. Now, I don't know if you're in direct communication with this person, but it feels like there's a lot that's still kind of hidden here. So it feels like there's a little bit of things that are not quite clear with the High Priestess. It does feel like, mm, sorry guys, but it does feel like with the High Priestess mode, there's a certain level of disconnect in some way here. Um, but either way, I'm just going to say I don't know that I see it moving ahead right now. Because that card is a card of deep intuition, but it's also one of trying to find one's emotional depth. So I feel like that's where you're at. Your emotions are hidden, there's a certain level of guardedness. And even though you're spiritually connected, it just feels like there's not yet a romantic awareness, or even if there is some kind of unspoken understanding at a soul level, it just feels like it's that bond is not ready for moving ahead in that personal space, because I would say the guardedness of around the emotions means you're not going to be able to open up emotionally and really be vulnerable with one another, and the trust is being held back, so you're protecting your heart, not easily read. There's too much distance in that romantic area. So again, despite there being a soulful spiritual connection and an understanding of one another in a soul level connection, I would still say that there's too much here around, um, too much that you're guarding emotionally for this to move ahead at this time. Could be dealing with a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius energy here as well. And the the King of Swords also tells me there's something here about a little bit of distance in terms of how you are connecting with somebody. So you're trying to get clear as well on on the potential in something. So again, I feel like there's a lot that you're kind of working through before that even happens. I do think this person is someone that you can see yourself happy with in a deep loving connection, and I feel like you're still striving for that, but I feel at this time it's kind of in that space of holding off for the moment, because you want to build something that is sustainable, you want to build something that's long lasting and fulfilling. And right now there is too much guarding around one's heart, and I feel like you're eager to understand the situation more than you are eager to understand yourself. I think you're moving into that space now, though, of trying to understand yourself, so that will help you and your romantic interest to be drawn to one another. But right now there's a sense of mystery, or things not being quite revealed yet. So I would say that that space right now is not what you're not emotionally available yet to work on that. So anyway, that's what I have for you. Last card out is, okay, this is a different deck here. I will refer to the cards on this one because I don't deal with this one very often. Give me 1 second here, guys. But hopefully that, is giving you a little bit of insight about where things are at. Like I said, I feel like you're going to be somebody who's quite a healer, like quite amazing energy that I'm getting from this. Okay, so this particular card represents boundless. It's a card without limits. It's eternal. It's infinite. And it says you are just beginning to experience your own unlimited nature, or you're holding yourself back from it. This card asks you to remove any doubts, fears that you may have. Move forward in faith, knowing that the only limits you will ever experience are the ones that you have created for yourself based on your own beliefs. A world without boundaries or limits is opening to you. Anything and everything is possible. Wow, that sounds exactly like what the rest of the other cards were reflecting as well. And the card of is universal connection. Everything is repeating here. Universal connection. So this is basically, the guidance that you're now receiving is universal. Take time daily to connect with your guides, your angels. Ask the questions that you need to ask. Say, what is it that I can do, that I can work on today? Give me a positive, message that I can sort of focus on and meditate on that, something like that, whatever, however it resonates for you. But this is where you wish to connect with them as much as they wish to connect with you, and you're working very closely together. And this is going to be a time where you may want to journal it, you may want to meditate, you may want to, take the notes down here so that you know where you're going to be connecting it. And sometimes, if you don't want to reveal this in terms of a journal, you could even write it into a story using general characters. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways that you can express this that could be poetry. You can express your emotions and your feelings in ways that are kind of code for self-expression or self-exploration. But either way, write it down, and look for some of those synchronicities. But this card, is about connection experience with spirit, but it also somehow strongly resonates with writing. The other card here is the final one out. And this is the card of joy. So the colors of the pink, the green, it signifies opening the heart chakra to deeper and more profound joy, which is exactly what I had mentioned with the other card, with the magical spell cards coming out with joy. There's some here in this month that's going to bring you some joy. So embrace the shift. It's occurring within you. You're starting to see, life from a more joyous space, and it feels more positive. Childlike wonder is here. So again, this is that space where you made the efforts, and now it's time to enjoy a part of what you have come to a conclusion with, because the world card came out here as well. And again, you're building legacy, you're building connections, and you're building a strong foundation. Keep moving forward. You have an amazing ride ahead of you. That's what I have for you, Cancer, for the month of March.